Hey everyone, and welcome back to Remember This Tech. If you're like me, lately, it's been increasingly difficult to find a really good PC case that you can find for 50 to 60 bucks. I mean, I have some criteria in mind, and yours might be the same, so if they are, stay tuned for this unboxing of a new case behind me. My criteria would be it can fit a full ATX size motherboard. It has good connectivity ports I/O on the front, USB-C, USB 3. Also, it has to have enough space, width-wise, in the case to fit a full-size graphics card. And the other halves, or things I would like to have, would be cable management for the power supply and fans and all the other cables that go in the case. And that would mean that the power supply should be below and underneath, so it's not exposed and you have places to stuff the cables and stuff. That is, if you don't have a fully modular case. So if you're like me and you have you found it increasingly difficult to find a mid-range $50 to $60 really good case lately, well, let's check out this unboxing together and find out if the case behind me might be the one. I paid $57 for this, so let's check it out. What is it? It's a Zalman i3 Neo case. This one comes in white, and well, you know, they're a little bit more expensive, but it's only $3 more, so I had to splurge for it. It's an ATX mid-tower computer case. It's got front mesh design for more ventilation. It's tempered glass side panel. It's powder coated paint. What are some of the specs for this Zalman case? And this is the first Zalman I've reviewed or unboxing. All comes in white. It is ATX mid-tower, 422 by 219 by 484, and the height in millimeters. It's 5.5 or 5.6 kilograms. Plastic, steel, tempered glass is the side. Fits an ATX, micro ATX, mini ITX for motherboards. The maximum VGA length for your video card. Now, a lot of you are going to want to note this: 355 millimeters in length. Maximum CPU height cooler. So if it's mounted on the board, and it means the space between the motherboard and how tall the cooler goes to the side of the tempered glass case, and that is 160 millimeters. Power supply, maximum length 210 millimeters. 7 expansion slots for PCIe on the back of the card. Drive bays, you got a 2 combo, so you can either fit a 3.5 or a 2.5, or 1 toolless 3 SSD 2.5 inch. It could be on the back or whatever, we'll have to look. Front, you have 320 millimeter fans or 140 millimeter fans. I guess you can kind of mix and match. Rear 120 millimeter, bottom 2x 120 millimeter, front 3 millimeter 120 millimeter with RGB rear, and so on. Now the front I/O ports, you might want to take note of this as well. You got one headphone jack, one mic, one USB 2.0. I really hate that. I wish I would just make them all USB 3.0. I mean, how much money does it cost to add one more USB 3.0? 2 USB 3.0, power button, reset button. Okay, so let's get this out of the box and see what it looks like close up, shall we? Just styrofoam padding, that's pretty much all we got here. And now for some plastic wrap. Now, on first look, it looks pretty nice. I mean, it's metal front mesh case front. And we'll go into the details a little bit more in depth. So from the front, we have metal mesh to the front here. And turning it to the side, we have the interior of the case, tempered glass here. And if we're just looking here from the aesthetic point of view, I kind of like it. I like the white case. I like the way we have the power supply is underneath. We have some airflow mesh on the top and the Zalman logo here. Now, everything looks tidy in there. It looks like they've zip tied it or bread tied it up here with some things here. And let's just open this up, shall we? Let's see how it works. Okay, first things first, when we open up this case here has a hinged glass door. How strong are they? Well, they're strong enough. I would be careful with this, but this door can come off the hinges completely by just sliding it up and down. So it's not technically fully on there. It's not secured, is what I'm saying. So be careful. They have some rubber grommets kind of here to stop it from smacking into the case, and a little grip latch here. And that's what we have there. But this case door can open fully all the way back. Just be careful you don't break the hinge, but that's nice to see. As long as you're careful with it, I think it's fine. I like it. On close inspection, for risking my fingertips, there doesn't seem to be any sharp edges. They are beveled, which is awesome in my book, because nobody wants to cut their damn hands on a case. Not in 2025. There are 3 front-mounted fans that come with it, Zalman labeled, 120 millimeter fans, and there is 1 rear-mounted fan as well, pre-mounted in the case. They have some standoffs pre-installed in the case. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it could be ATX, but I think we'd need a couple more over here. So, not gonna get ahead of ourselves. Let's continue on with the rest of the case. Let's look at the back. The back. Well, again, we continue with the beveled edges, which is very nice, and I like the white aesthetic. Now, whether or not it's going to chip and peel, I don't know. This looks like a quick plate for some type of thing right here for these guys. And then you have a removable back cover. Now let's carry on to the front and the top. And the I/O ports. For the front I/O, like I said, or the top I/O rather, 2 USB 3.0, 1 USB 2, headphone, microphone jack, reset switch, power indicator and hard drive indicator, and a power button. Would it have killed them to put a USB-C port instead of the 2.0? Might have, I'm not sure, but it's a wish for me. When we're back here, this here is removable magnetic mesh filter screen. So it isn't a real true HEPA filter, nothing like that, but it'll get dusty sucking in air or what have you, so it's nice to see that as well. And I think there's one on the bottom. The bottom by the power supply has a removable black mesh as well. I'm going to next take off the back case cover, and these are quasi thumb screws, but I can't get them because the factory tightened them too tight. So I want to see how the back of the, oh, these are not attached. Be careful with those. I want to see how the back of the case fares for cable management. Let's see here. So the way it is currently, they just use these twist ties. But these fans here are RGBs. So you have the RGB pin header. And I like that they're daisy chained together already, so your board can just control them. We have various spots for your SATA SSD. Here's the cables for your board, including a USB 3.0 for the front panel, and these one here is a HD audio and another USB header, which I assume is for the front 2.0. And then you have the motherboard preset switch, power switch, etc. You have a small pad here, right here, in here for the power supply to sit. I guess it's interesting because it might provide a little bit of vibration control, I guess. Let's kind of stuff these out of the way. Here you have a spot that could possibly accommodate either a 3.5 or a 2.5 inch hard disk drive. And this is where you have your accessories here. They've tied it in here. And also the instruction manual, the user guide here for the i3 Neo. And let's see. And basically it just goes over your dimensions in really small form to read, and all your parts and pieces and where they go and what to do with them. Dropped it. It tells you how to put your motherboard in, take everything off, in case you weren't aware of how to do that. And also the front pops off. I guess it can pop off from the bottom and pull forward. So you can probably access the fans. What else do they have here? It shows you how to remove the fans, filters, and more. And all the headers and everything else. So that's pretty cool. And in the accessory bag here, we have, this is interesting. They have a small PCO speaker for like your motherboard, so that if it has a diagnostic code beep and you don't have a speaker to plug it into, you can use this. This is quite interesting. I haven't seen that in a long time. Here are some more standoffs for your motherboard, some extra screws for securing your hard drives and stuff like that. If you look here, I have some things you can put in there for 3.5. We have two extra back cover plates, some zip ties, obligatory zip ties. We have a cleaning cloth. I suppose it's a anti-abrasion. Interesting, huh? Well, not bad set of stuff on the accessories kit. Does this front come off like advertised? Let's put it forward. I suppose it could, but man, it feels like I'm gonna break something if I do this. It looks like it's just popped on there, but there are strong clips. So yeah, you can pop off the front, but the clips are really strong on the bottom. And then we have access to your fans in case you want to swap them out for a quieter set of fans or otherwise. I suppose you want to see how a power supply fits in here and what we can do as far as room, cable management and all that. This is just a spare rando EVGA non-modular power supply. So it's got some cables here. And why did I choose this and not a modular? Because, well, I want to see if it's got room for a regular power supply without stuffing this crap everywhere, you know? Oh. Well, I mean, I gotta find out how it's gonna fit. What I'm saying. Because if you're gonna route cables, whatever, you wanna know how much room there is, right? And if you don't know, obviously you're gonna route some of these cables. But for the interest of looking to see how much space we have, let's see. Obviously you can't have them into the fans, but this is pretty good because cable management is nice. You're gonna run the power up to the motherboard. You're gonna run your ATX up here. You're gonna run your 12-pin, your 4-pin, 8-pin power to your motherboard. For CPU power, you're gonna run a whole bunch of other stuff, so not all this is gonna be in here. So, pass the test. Last test, people might wanna know, can you fit this big ass video card in here? This is a Sparkle Titan A770 ARC card, and it is long. So yes, you can fit this in here. No problem, it's gonna fit. That's one of the problems I see and have to look for in a case. Perfect. So my final thoughts on this Zalman i3 Neo case. It checks most of the boxes that I have for requirements when it comes to a entry-level budget $50 to $60 case. It's $57.99. It can fit a ginormous video card. It comes pre-installed with 4 fans, 3 in the front and 1 in the back. It has a room to route and cable your power supply cables underneath so that it's separated from the case. That's great if you don't have a fully modular power supply. You got room to hide those cables and route what you need. The back of the case has plenty of routing and cabling connectivity, and it's got space to mount a older SSD, SATA, and it's got room for an older 3.5 inch or 2.5 inch hard drive underneath, and it's not obstructing the area where you can stuff your cables. It's got the tempered glass, which, as long as you're into cable management, you can show off your system. These are LED fans as well. I like the aesthetic of this case. Another white or black or like a prime type look to your motherboard. I think it would go pretty well to show off your stuff. Back of the case looks nice. As far as how it's gonna hold up, scratching, well, all cases are gonna scratch out over time if you're not careful with them. You can't really go into it thinking that, this is your thing, you don't wanna scratch the paint. Just take care of it the best you can. It's a case, it's gonna get scratched eventually. The only thing that I could say to change on this case would be the inclusion of a USB-C on the top of the case. Where I showed you. It's got 2 USB 3 on here, and if it just had a USB-C, for 57 bucks, it would be awesome. I would choose this case over my previous cheap build case, which would be the Fractal Focus G, because it allows you to hide those power supply cables. It has a tempered glass side, whereas the Focus G has a plexiglass side. There's beveled edges, they're not sharp. You can get this case for $3 to $4 to $5 cheaper and black if you want to save a few bucks. So it's closer to the $50 mark. I got this from Newegg. Amazon also has them. They vary in prices, so I'll put the link for Amazon to this case in the description section below in case you're interested. No pun intended, case. I'm gonna throw my new Ryzen AM5 system in here with the 8600G, and it's gonna look pretty awesome. If you're into this case, you like to see more of this, you might want to consider subscribing and giving a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. Remember this tech.